Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Manchester United travelling to Grimsby for the second round of the Carabao Cup. Joining me as always is Mr. Joe Smith, and this preview is brought to you by Betfred, official sponsors of Manchester United and also of Stretford Paddock. Joseph, it's been a rocky start, shall we say?
Yeah.
We've had a couple of games. We've got one goal, which was sort of helped along its way by an opposing player.
Sure.
So goals have been in short supply.
Yes.
Let's not kid ourselves. But Grimsby, I mean, if you wanted to score some goals, you think that facing a team way down the divisions would be the ideal opportunity to do this. Do you feel that Manchester United will score goals and need to get some goals? Because it is a little bit deflating, the fact we ain't scoring.
Yeah, 2 games isn't enough to say anything yet, but it's enough to start thinking, let's just do this.
Let's have some goals.
Because it isn't just 2 games, and I don't want to sort of talk about last season and compare this attack with that attack and say that, you know, them carrying on what, you know, Højlund, Xerxes, Garnacho carried on from last season. They're not, those players haven't played. Xerxes hasn't played a minute yet. The other 2 aren't even in the squad. So comparing Sesko and Cunha and Mbeumo and sort of acting as though they've continued last season's attacking. They weren't here last season, so I don't want to do that. But as fans, we're getting a little bit sick of watching Manchester United season in, season out, make chances and miss them. Like, at some point, I think it will click because these attackers are just more clinical than the ones that we used to have. But it's still infuriating, and it's hard to completely compartmentalize last year and this year when the manager's the same, a lot of the squad's the same, the attackers are different, but just get a few goals.
Yeah.
Just get a few, and let's get a little bit of momentum going. I do think these attackers, like I said, are too good to keep underachieving, to keep missing more than they score. All of those things that we saw last season. I don't think it will happen long term this season, but it kind of needs to start soon. And I think a game like this, we'll obviously look at Grimsby in a little bit, but a team that you just have to beat. Just no 2 ways about it. You have to beat, and you have to beat them comfortably, really. Now's a chance to start getting a bit of momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we score goals against Grimsby, that doesn't mean that everything is rosy and all our problems solved, but you want to get goals, don't you? As an attacker, as a footballer, you want to score goals. We saw it last season, didn't we, against Barnsley? Where, you know, I think it was goals were flying in, and it's just like that's what you want to see. You want to see us sort of put someone to the sword, get on the score sheet. Some of the attackers get off the mark this season, even if it is against lower opposition. Let's just start scoring some goals. When it comes to the Carabao Cup, obviously it's one of the 2 cup competitions we're in, as well as the league. We don't have European football this season. We have sort of all spoke about it a lot on this channel that the league is a priority and getting, you know, as high as we can up the table and trying to get into Europe, but it'd still be nice to win a trophy. Where do you think this lies in terms of priorities for Ruben Amorim? Do you think because of what happened last season that he just needs to focus on the league? Or do you think there's an element of you can actually do a little bit of both? We saw it in Erik ten Hag's first season, an FA Cup final, winning the Carabao Cup and finishing 3rd. Or do you think even that is a distant memory now? Where do you stand on it?
It's weird, isn't it? Because it's whatever you don't have is what you want. So, like, most clubs in the country would pick a trophy over anything.
Yeah.
You know, most of the teams don't win anything, let's be honest. 99% of professional football teams never win trophies. It's all clustered at the top end. So the likes of Crystal Palace, of West Ham, of even Tottenham, who are sort of cut above the other 2 in terms of league position season in, season out, were absolutely desperate for a trophy because they hadn't seen one in nearly 20 years. The other 2 clubs, you know, generations since they'd seen one. Newcastle the same last season. They would be desperate to win this. Whereas United, we've won a few trophies recently, but the league position has been just an absolute kind of landslide. You know, it's downhill, and it's downhill quickly. So I think this year we'd probably all take 5th place over, maybe, you know, I think a lot of people would take 5th in Champions League over winning the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Yeah. I'm not saying I would, but I wouldn't be shocked to see a fan say that. Whereas if that's any other club in the league that isn't City, Arsenal, or Liverpool, you'd think you'd be mad for saying that. However, I do think a trophy would be massive, and I do think that managers that win trophies, you can put them in a different bracket to other managers, and it's something that doesn't hang over him. I think with Solskjaer, it's sort of hung, and then he got to that Europa League final, didn't win it, and it almost became like, not we've got to sack him, but it was such a big thing that was used to sort of beat Solskjaer with. Not that winning the FA Cup saved Ten Hag, winning the FA Cup saved Van Gaal, winning the Europa saved Jose long term, but I do think it puts you in a different bracket of manager. If you can win trophies, that is a big thing. And doing it at Manchester United is a big thing. So where do I land after all that? I think we have to take this competition seriously. And I think, like you said before, we can take it seriously. What is it, 9 guaranteed games you play in the Europa League? And let's be honest, if we're in the Europa League or the Conference League, we probably get through to the group stage, to the knockout stages. You're probably looking at 10 to 15 games that we don't have to play this season. I think we can face and play a good, strong side every single time in this competition, including this game. We'll get to Predicted 11s in a minute, but I think we have to take it very seriously. I think we're in a position where, because we were so bad last season, we get to take and we have to take every game, league, cup, everything, 100% seriously. And I think there's no other question but to do that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm old school. I like winning trophies. Call me insane.
Yeah.
But I also think the League Cup, for example, the Carabao Cup, whatever you want to call it, it can give you that little bit of a boost. You remember when we won it under Jose? I know our league form had dropped off, but we went towards the Europa League that season, having already won a trophy. You saw it under Eric Ten Hag. We won the Carabao. It was his first trophy, and his first opportunity to win a trophy. He did it, and we end up finishing third and getting to the FA Cup final. It seems to give you that little bit of almost that breathing space of, you know what, I've got that off my back already. I've already won something.
Yeah.
And it gives all the players, if they've collected silverware as Manchester United players, which it can give you that little bit of a bump because it's so early as well, the Carabao. It is a little bit different, isn't it? You don't play at the end of a season, the final. You play it halfway through the season, or 2/3 of the way through the season. So it is a bit of a different one. We're going to get to Predicted 11s in a minute, though. Before we do, go and check out Betfred. They are the home of the Bet Builder. There's a link in the description. Remember that Betfred rules do apply. Maximum stakes may vary. They are sponsors of this podcast, of this preview, and also they are the proud sponsors of Manchester United, so make sure you check them out, and always remember 18 plus, be gamble aware. Joe, I want to talk to you about your Predicted 11 because you think Ruben Amorim's going to go for it, don't you?
He has to. Well, I mean, I'll look at it, right? So how many changes have I actually made from the last 2 games? Onana, Maguire, Heaven, Ugarte, Mainoo, Sesko. There's 6 changes there.
Yeah.
And, you could argue, I know Ahmad played in the last game, but he didn't start the first game, so 6, that is a heavily rotated team, but it's still a very strong team. And I think that's what we need to do. I think let's see what Maguire and Heaven can do. Mainoo has to play, and we'll talk about him properly in a second. Ugarte, I think let's give him a chance from the start. He was shocking against Arsenal, came in and did what I expected him to do against Fulham, but wasn't really the right piece for that moment. But that's not his fault. He is what he is, and he did his job relatively well in that game. Let's get Bruno Fernandes further forward, and let's see Sesko start. But Mainoo's become such a big talking point, hasn't he? Like, it's become this sort of, I don't even know, it's the stick to beat Amorim with at the moment.
It's so deflating, and I get where you're coming from with this team, and I think, okay, it's a strong team, but look, just go out there and win the game. I understand it. Some of these players haven't played loads of football so far this season, and Kobbie Mainoo hasn't had any minutes at all, so I understand it. Like, Kobbie Mainoo should be one of the bright parts of Manchester United. That should be something we're happy about, a player that we're happy about, that we're all behind. It's come through the academy, helped win the FA Cup, was player of the match in the final. We should all be like, oh, Kobbie Mainoo's only 20, we've got 10 more years of him at least. Yeah. And instead now he's become a bit of an issue, and it's through no fault of his own. It's just the manager doesn't fancy him. He keeps getting asked about him. He isn't getting any minutes. A lot of people don't fancy or rate Manuel Ugarte, so it's become almost like, well, why are you picking Ugarte over Mainoo? Why is Ugarte getting off the bench and Mainoo isn't? So the manager sort of pivoted and said, well, actually in training, it's either Mainoo or Bruno. And that, I don't think, sort of helped anyone, because that's sort of saying, well, you know that player that's never ever injured, that's also the captain, that plays basically every minute of every game, well, if he's not playing, then Mainoo will get a chance. So you may as well just say, well, I ain't ever picking him, which has sort of not gone down too well with a lot of the fan base. So it isn't ideal. My team isn't that dissimilar from yours in the sense that it's quite a strong one. You can have a look at mine. I've gone with a few changes, as you can see. I've got Tom Eaton in goal. I brought in Frederiksen, Aiden Heaven and Maguire. I wouldn't be surprised if they start. They came off the bench, didn't they, at Craven Cottage. I've got Mainoo and Ugarte in that midfield. I've got Dorgu. I've got Delo on the right-hand side. I've pushed Ahmad up further forward, and I've got Xerxes alongside him, and I've also gone with Chido Obe up front. I also think you do have options. It's obviously, you can put people on the bench. I still think that's a very, very strong team to be facing someone like Grimsby. And I don't look at that team, and it might not be the first choice team as such. I think that you could argue there's only maybe Dorgu and Ahmad at the minute, who are sort of starters for Ruben Amorim when everyone's fit. But it's still a very strong team, full of experienced, talented internationals. So I think that'll be a test for any team, let alone Grimsby. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think about Joe's team, my team, Cobby Mainoo, all the rest of it. And before we go any further and talk about Grimsby, make sure you film yourself in landscape, 30 seconds for your score prediction, and send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com, and we'll use that as part of our pre-match build-up. Now, what can you tell us about Grimsby? They're in League Two. I think they're currently sat in, is it 4th in League Two? Having finished 9th last season, is that right? I want to say. I mean, does anyone care?
That is all right, yeah. It fucking better be. It's written right there. I mean, yeah, it's a mid-table League Two team. You win this game. You have to win this game. Like, I know that you won't get any credit at all for winning it, but you will get destroyed for losing it. You have to win the game, regardless of who plays, how much you rotated, whether they were should have been a penalty, this, that, and the other. Nothing will matter if we don't win. If we go out of this game, or we go out of this competition in this game, it will be an utter disaster for Ruben Amorim. So play a slightly stronger team than you think, risk an injury to someone that you're worried about. I'm not saying go all out here, because both of our teams, like we said, were heavily rotated, but you cannot do anything except come away with a win. And to be honest, a pretty convincing win. Maybe they have a decent 20, 30 minutes to start off, looking physical, working really hard, the crowd's up for it, sort of evening game, sunset behind the stand and all that, and you got a bit of that cup atmosphere going, but we have to pull away in this game. So, a mid-table League Two side, Jay, as far as Football League fixtures go, this is about as easy as it can possibly be. Yeah. It only goes down another 12 places below them. I know they've started with a couple of wins this season, but let's be honest, we have to. There's just nothing.
I'm not trying to be dismissive here, but let's be real for a bit. Yeah, let's just be honest here. There's no excuses whatsoever for not beating Grimsby. No disrespect to Grimsby, but let's not be nonsensical about it. Look, we're going to be here for the watch along. Make sure you join us. Make sure if you can, you send in your score predictions to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. Joseph, I need yours.
I'm going to go 4-1. I think we'll get a few goals. And I think let's start well like we did against Fulham. The nice bit of movement off the ball, quick runs, quick passing, shots early, test the goalkeeper, all that sort of stuff that you sort of cliched, overused stuff that people say all the time. But just do it. Just work hard, run off the ball, have shots, win. 4-1. I think that they might get something, and you could imagine a set piece, or depending who's in goal, Bindeer looks flappy from corners, doesn't he? So I could see that, but blow them away. Yeah,
I just don't want any dramas. I just don't want any, when it's like, it was it where we played a couple of years ago in the FA Cup. Was it the FA Cup? Where we were playing the lower league. Do you remember who it was when we had to bring on substitutes? We went 2-0 up and then it was 2-2.
Yeah, we ended up winning 4-2 in the end or something, didn't we?
Yeah, do you remember?
I can't remember who it was against, but I remember it happening, yeah.
Yeah.
We need to not let that happen.
Get involved in the chat in the comments and remind me who that was.
Let us know who that was.
I'm going to go... do you know what? I think this is just going to be one of those games where it's just relatively uneventful.
Really?
I just think it might even just be like a 3-0. Just a 3-0. And it's just like, do you know what? Happy days. No, nothing to shout about, nothing to get upset about. Just a 3-0. Let's say Newport County, that was it. Manchester United get goals from... I'll go with a goal for Cheeto, because I think he'll play. Yeah. A goal for Xerxes, and a header from Maguire. That's what I'm going with. Nice. Make sure you go and check out Betfred. There's a link in the description. Always be gambleware 18+. Joe and me are going to be here for the watch along, so make sure if you're not doing so already, you are subscribing to the channel. That's been Joe Smith. I've been Jay Motti. This has been a preview of Manchester United travelling to Grimsby in the second round of the Carabao Cup. Thanks for watching.